Take for example, if someone asks what happened in the Battle of Kalinga, in which the Mauryan famous king Ashoka defeated the kingdom of Kalinga and captured Kalinga. What happened there? How do we know? Take for example the scenario of the Battle of Kalinga. We know about the Battle of Kalinga from a large number of Buddhist texts in which Ashoka's life, who was a devout Buddhist, has been described. Ashoka himself, in one of his edicts, gives an account of the terrible tragedies that took place during that bloody war. Now, there are two types of evidence of this battle. How do we look at it? Both are important sources, but what should be the precedence? What should get the precedence for the historian? Here, the case is Ashoka's inscriptions being written in first person, stated by the emperor himself, is a contemporary source. That is, it was written at the command of the emperor Ashoka. It was written when Ashoka was ruling. So there is an advantage that these are clearly contemporary primary sources. The Buddhist tales, which also highlight Ashoka's reign and talk about his annexation of Kalinga, are later in date than the actual period of reign of Ashoka. Interestingly, there is a difference even in the two types of sources we have just mentioned. Ashoka himself indicates that the perpetration of violence left a deep sense of remorse in his mind after the Battle of Kalinga, paving the way for his embracing Buddhism slightly later after the victory over Kalinga. In the Buddhist texts of slightly later date, the conversion of Ashoka to Buddhism is differently explained. The Buddhist text tells us that Ashoka initially was a person of violent disposition, Chandashoka, cruel Ashoka, who killed many of his brothers in order to secure the throne for himself. Once he sat on the throne, he was full of remorse and became a pious ruler under the influence of Buddhism. The transformation of Ashoka the cruel, Chandashoka, to a pious ruler, Dharmashoka, because of the influence of Buddhism. Now the two sets of stories are different, but the inscription of Ashoka, being a perfectly contemporary source, exactly during the time of Ashoka's reign, and because the inscriptions are stated in the first person, Ashoka himself states that he was full of remorse after the devastations in the Battle of Kalinga. The historian would tend to give greater credence to the statement of Ashoka than to the statement in a Buddhist text of a later period.